What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the weekly trading recap. Now, this week was election week. That was on Tuesday. So the beginning of the week didn't make a lot of plays, didn't really know what was going to happen. Futures were absolutely ripping though, which was, sort of weird. Nobody expected that. A lot of plays were moving. Election was on Tuesday. Still don't have the results of it. Now, we do know the results of most states, but some of that's going to be recounted and a lot of stuff going on. So who knows when we're going to have the results at this point. But a lot of stocks are popping for both candidates. Now they're leaning more toward Biden at the end of the week, just the way the stocks are moving. Didn't alert everything on Twitter like I usually do. There was some plays that maybe I just wasn't super comfortable in, or I was playing a small size, and that was just due to, I felt like at any time this week we could have had some election news come out and it could have, absolutely tanked some things. Didn't want anybody to lose money, and also some of the plays we were in, some fellow traders that I follow on Twitter were also in those, and just felt like they were good plays, and I was just, didn't want to add into it. Just because, let them have the fame of calling the stock, because, everybody gets mad about who called what stock. So let's hop into it. Now, I'm going to flip over to Thinkorswim here. Now, I do know that this is simulated trading. On my main account here that I trade off of for OTC and warrants and stuff, I don't know how to hide all this data that shows, the account value and the account number and stuff. So we just did the simulated trading for the sake of the video. So this is a weed stock. On Monday, right before the election, obviously some weed stocks were, sort of popping, maybe hoping that Biden would win and legalize that, and also just the weed votes across 5 different states that were happening to legalize the marijuana. Trader brought this to my attention. It's an over-the-counter stock, very low float. Did end up getting in this late at 0.0863. And I actually sold it at 0.1010, which is a 17% return on this weed stock. Now, Fisker opened up a lot higher on Monday, just like the futures. It basically gapped up. So let's flip off of the daily here. And as we can see, this is where it opened up higher. So the only problem that I had with this is I knew a lot of people were wanting this to go up, but if you look at the price distribution of this, the $12 to $15 mark, there's so many people that are still holding shares within that range. It's going to be pretty hard to get back over it. Now, once it does, it's going to be nice. It is an electric vehicle stock. I do think that eventually we can get over it, but is it, are people going to hold long enough for that to happen? Now, sorry, I had to get a drink of water. That $12 mark here, if you remember, right over back in here around early August, if you flip back on my Twitter, I was adding those dips under 12 there. So the main candle of the bulk here was around that, the $12 area, and that's this purple line coming across. So I really didn't expect the $12 to break, but I knew that if it did, we were going to have a pretty quick move to $12.20. And that's just because, back then we always moved quick between that range. And then once we did finally break over it, we kept coming back to this, 12.20 range as a low with like hits at 12 every now and then. But mainly the lows are 12.20 after we moved up from the low of 12s. And it always sort of tried to come back and test this area. And it also held it here on the big sell-off day before it ended up going insane. So on Monday, what I saw is I didn't really figure this to break over, and it did not. And I tried to warn some people on Twitter about that. Basically, that's just the basis of it, going back and looking at the chart to see, what I saw and why I didn't think it was going to break over. Now, I did end up trading this on Monday, though, just because, the volume was really, really high. Sort of liked it. And I wish it was definitely a little bit higher, trust me. But that 4.6 million here at the open after it was already up was very telling, because it was all buying pressure there. So when we sunk under 11 here, I bought $10.95 as like, just a lotto position. Ended up holding it. Now I was seeing if we were breaking over this 12, which we did, and we had that quick move to 12.20. But as you can tell, once we got to this 12.20 area, we started having this little candlesticks going up, and we started basing right there around 1220 as I expected, that we couldn't really break over, and then the chart failed. Now I did try and see if we were going to bounce this 12 or not. We didn't, but on the first little stick back up, I sold at $12.24 on this one. Just a very, pretty quick 5, 10, 50, just 20, 30-minute stock there that we made about $1.50 on. If my math is right, I think it's actually like $1.20. Now let's see here. Another stock that I was watching on Monday. This one got brought to my attention by a guy that I've come to sort of call him my friend on Twitter, my internet friend, and he's been in this one, since the 6s. He's been all over it, adding some big size. Now, as we can see here on Monday afternoon, the stock announced a joint agreement for $500 million, and that's like 5 times the market cap of this stock. As you can see, the quick move here, but look at the volume. Almost no volume on the stock. I think, this entire after hour and pre-market over here was only like 50,000 shares, which, you'd expect it for that kind of venture compared to the market cap would be a lot more, but it just did not catch. Could have been, mainly because people didn't really want to trade that after hours going into the election on Tuesday morning. So we didn't get a position here. Now I do wish that I, would have bought it. But one of the big reasons was, around this 780 area, whenever it came back down, the bid was like at 760, and the ask on that was like at 820. So the spread was insane. You were going to lose money. Usually when it's that spready, you're going to lose money. And it ended up going higher. But like I said, this was 15,000 shares in this 15 minutes, and this was only 8,000 in that 15 minutes. So, if I would have bought it, the chances of selling it were very slim. Came back down, and as you can tell, it has broke out higher. But still very low volume. And I do think, once volume, it comes back. And as you can tell, it has came back a little bit. Right here, volume predicts price action. It goes up. Should have noticed that, but we didn't. So yeah, that's it for that one. Election day was Tuesday. Did not make any trades. Had to go back to Arkansas to cast my vote, and then I came back here. It was just a very busy day, and didn't want to risk anything in the market. Now on Wednesday, EV stocks were up huge. Considering that we didn't have election results by then, I didn't expect the market to be like it was, but it was insane. EV stocks were ripping. That was more for Biden, but the futures were ripping. That was more for Trump. So don't really know basically it was going up for both candidates. So on this day, KNDI was one that was absolutely ripping. So this was Wednesday the 4th here. That's right. Wednesday the 4th. Yeah, so Wednesday the 4th, as you can see, they had some news, broke it out to an insane amount up here. So if you flip over and we turn on these indicators, what I did here is on the 5-minute chart, which is what I like to trade in the middle of the day. This stock came down and touched this 5-day moving average. Now, day trading, I love to buy these bounces on news off the the MA9 on the 5 and the MA50 on the 1 minute. And so basically, I was hoping that this would bounce as we were coming down. Volume was still very telling. So it actually did not touch that 5-day, the 9-minute moving, whatever, the 9 MA there. But the 9 MA was at 816. Gosh, I can't quit stuttering. But I ended up always buy a little bit higher, so about $8.20. And as you can tell, 10 minutes later, we broke all the way up here. Now, when I saw us start to base around this level, and we sort of spiked up, and I ended up selling that at $9.05. So that was about $1.10 per share gain right there. So it was very nice. Actually, my math is bad. That was a 90-cent share per gain. I just did it in my head again. Now with KNDI ripping like it was, this much, just sort of figured some other EV stocks would follow. One of those, my favorite, as we can tell in the last few videos, is SOLO. And when KNDI, it looked like this at the open, but Solo looked like this, that was a buy signal to me. Felt like we were going to get some EV mania that day, and we ended up doing so. So I bought that at $2.76 just on the first little rebound up here. And a little later, I actually sold this first candle up. I just wanted to secure the profit, and I let that go at $3 even. Like I said, just didn't really know what was going to happen. That was whenever KNDI was sort of like, topping out around that time. So just expected it to fail, and it didn't. It ended up going higher. As you can tell, I sort of bit my tongue on that one because we went super high this week. We broke out over some key levels. Sort of got into the very basic last level up here on the daily. We're actually up here around, if we get over this $4 area, this $3.90 to $4 area that's been really tough, that's basically, we're in free man's land up there until at least $5, $6. We're going for them highs, and I'm glad it didn't happen actually, just because I would have missed out on it. But at the same time, I missed out on a lot of money selling at 90 cents shy of what it topped out at after a few days. But like I said earlier, felt like in any time election news could come out and absolutely kill the stocks. So we're securing profits and moving on. Now on Thursday, the TRNE warrants that we purchased, that I mentioned purchasing the week before last, and I mentioned them again last week, or maybe I purchased them last week. I don't know. I know they're in at least last week's video, maybe the week before that. It's at $1.55. Right before I recorded this, those were at $2.10. I have secured some profit on those, on the way up, just to see, in case we do get a market pullback. But it's been strong, so that's at 37% profit right now, if my math was right on that one. So yeah, that one has been very nice to us on the swing. Also this week, DGLY, just a riot stock. Basically, it's been all over the place, as you can tell. This week, up and down. You can literally buy a dip at 270 and sell it at 280, vice versa. Just you can sit there and just do this. Lots of flipping on it this week. Felt like a lot of people were flipping, so I didn't really play it that much. But I did play a few quick flips on this one. Now, late in the day, right before close yesterday on Thursday, I bought Mara. I ended up buying the very top of the stock. I knew I was late. Actually had some friends telling me, to buy it way sooner than what I did. Actually had people telling me to buy it on Wednesday, and I didn't listen. But yeah, it's one of those, Bitcoin broke through 15,000. It then was on its way to 16,000 right there in after hours. Just seemed like we were going to gap up higher over this level. Now this level is a little bit of resistance. If we check out the chart here, right around there, this 260 level right through here, quite some resistance through there. So it was sort of just bad on my part, but I knew that I had a chance of losing that being at a resistance area, but I was sort of hoping that we would gap. Now we didn't. Took a loss on it this morning. It happens. Just a little scratch. Now, weed stocks. Absolutely insane to end this week. So yesterday and after hours, I bought Tilray. One of the weed stocks. Could have got a better price, but I actually bought this one at $7.70 in after hours. Sort of chasing, but a lot of weed stocks were popping. Now, this one started getting some attention. There's a 40% short interest on this one, so that's super high. As you can tell, they probably started covering some today just by how easy we were breaking out higher. Volume is absolutely telling. And so this morning, we're way up here. I actually sold it at $9.28. So that was right before the open. Didn't really know how we were going to perform at the open. But I wanted to secure that profit. Now, that opening volume right there, as you can tell, 13.8 million shares traded in that first 5 minutes. That is very telling to me. That is catching my attention, especially on a green candle. So the first, dipperoo right through here, I bought it at $8.65. So right around where this was basing, $8.65. Ended up selling it just to secure profit at $9.40. That was in a 10-minute time frame that I just made 90 cents per share on that trade. Basically, I didn't really think or know if we were going to break over this high of day here, or the pre-market high right there. We ended up doing so, broke out like crazy, and it sort of started to come down. But I do think if Joe Biden is the 100% the next president, weed stocks are going to go nuts. And this is one that, shorts are probably still hanging on to it just because they think it's going to come back down. But they're going to get smashed. They're going to get squeezed, and this is going to pop like crazy. So, yeah, 2 trades on this one. One for $1.58, and later at 85-cent gain on this one. Very, very nice, just securing profits. Now, also, more weed today. IGC. I actually had this one on my watch list to buy at $1.30. I was watching it up here around $1.40. Never came back down to my buy zone of $1.30. Probably should have, looked at the chart and bought some of these areas. So I ended up buying just a little late. But as you can tell, big green candle at open. That is very telling to me. We sort of started to come down. So it actually hit $1.38 low here. So I do wish I would have got a little bit lower on this, on the scalp opportunity that I took. But I did get at $1.46, and I ended up selling that just about 10-15 minutes later here. Actually, this is a 15-minute candle. About 30-45 minutes later at $1.70. We didn't really get much over that later that day. Just quick profit on the weed stock. And one of the big winners today, earlier this week, I said that Sundial, SNDL, was one of my favorite weed stocks. It has a large float, but it moves very easily. I do think some of it may be locked up. And we could have got in early. Basically, the day that I said I was watching it was on 11/3 and 11/2. So it was sort of the election days. We popped up, came down. I was sitting here watching it. I honestly thought about buying it on Wednesday at these lows. Just seemed very, cheap. Nice risk reward, but I didn't. Instead, I waited off until this morning, and the only reason that I bought this morning after this huge spike up, and we've been rejecting this 30 cent mark for a while now, but look at this volume. 111 million shares were traded in the first 15 minutes. We go to a 5-minute chart. That is 78.4 million shares that got traded in the first 5 minutes of the open on this stock. That is super telling. That is volume predicting this price action 100% on this. And so, yeah, it was a little high to buy this. In my mind, I'm thinking, the daily chart, we've rejected this 30 cents, a few times now. So, it's sort of a risk. But let's think about the reward on this. Let's just have a tight stop of like 28, 29 cents. It ended up going below that, but I held on to it literally just because of the volume. So we bought this at 0.3050, just kept hanging on, waiting for that volume to predict that price action. And as we can tell, about an hour and a half later, we got the breakout. Now that is beautiful right here. From our entry, it would have been 0.235, so 23.5 cents at the top there. That is let's do the math on that. I ended up selling this at 5,000, 50 cents even. Basically, that is because flipping back to the chart, that is some resistance. That is also where the last offering that the company had was, or one of the last offerings that they had. So yeah, maybe I added to the problem of not being able to break out over the top. But at the same time, like, I'm not the only one that, that sees that on the chart. So let me pull up my calculator here and do the percent on that. So a 20 cent gain from a 30 cent entry is a 65.5% gain on this one literally in no time at all. And that is what is absolutely beautiful about it. And actually, just looking at my phone, I remember that I did see, was it Tilray or Aurora Cannabis? I tweeted about one of these. Hang on, let me flip through Twitter here. Aurora Cannabis. So I traded a few calls on this one today. Basically, this is the same time that all the weed stocks were going nuts. Volume was super telling. I was watching right here, this like $10.70 area. Ended up buying some $10 calls in the money. Expiration for November the 20th. And honestly, I forgot what purchase price it was. I was literally, as soon as I bought it and I got filled, I opened up my Twitter right here next to it, and I tried to tweet it out. But by that time that I clicked here, I then looked back at the chart, and we were all the way up here at $12.18. Literally just in like 5 minutes, we popped up that high. I checked those. I looked back at the freaking percent on those. I was up 20% in literally 5 minutes. I sold it. And then I tweeted about it. I wish I could have got some people in on that. But that was so quick. It was beautiful for me. I wish some more people could have got in with me on that, on the late lottos. So yeah, that's going to do it. I am looking at Digital Ally again, Ally, whatever you say it, DGLY, to hold over the weekend. I think some Riot stocks should do pretty well over the weekend. But it is at a pretty key resistance area, or it was right around that $3 area. I can pull up the chart. Let's pull up the chart. So yeah, it was right around this $3 area. If we flip to the daily here, let's do some drawings. Right around this $3 area, we had a top right around here. These are the tops, but it is also the bottom right through here. So that is the bottom on these, the bottom over here, and then some tops. So obviously, is a top around here, tops over here, as some resistance. Now, over that, I'm going to move these moving averages. Over that, I don't think maybe a small hiccup around, like the 340 area, right around here. Maybe a small hiccup around 380, maybe, possibly. Not a lot of shares traded. And after that, I think we're pretty clear till about $5. Maybe 480. But I think, this could definitely go up to this $5.30 area, over mainly these first three levels here. Besides, some small hiccups in there. But, that first hiccup is the major hiccup. So yeah, that's going to do it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Helps me out a lot. Peace out, guys.